إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال الله تبارك وتعالى ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الحلال بين والحرام بين وبين ذلك الشبهات فمن أوقع بهم فهو قمن أن يأثم ومن اجتنبهم فهو أوفر لدينه كمرتع إلى جنب حمى وحمى الله الحرام صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد أفضل صلواتك بعدد معلوماتك. My respected brothers and sisters and honorable elders, there are two things that are important and relevant in almost all of our matters. And those two things are yaqeen and shak. Certainty and doubt. Either you have certainty about something or you have doubt. So if you're certain about something, that is probably because of the knowledge that you have or because of the information that is available to you. That can change as well. You were certain about something based on the information available, based on the knowledge that you had, but when that information changed, then that certainty changed as well. That certainty changed into something else. And doubt is something that is the opposite of certainty. About Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. This is a book about which there is no doubt. No doubt whatsoever. This la that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used before the word rayb is exactly the same la which is in term of nahw called la linafyi al-jins, to negate everything. It is similar to what we say when we say the word la ilaha illallah, which means there is no God but Allah. Just like that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, La rayba fi. There is no doubt about this book. No doubt whatsoever. And if someone has a doubt about this book, then he does not believe in that book. So doubt is something that if you have the doubt about those things related to our faith that are authentically proven, fundamentally proven, then your whole faith is shaken. then your whole faith becomes unacceptable. So if someone has doubts about Quran, not just about Quran, but even an ayah of Quran, then that doubt is very, very harmful, very, very lethal. That doubt will erase the entire foundation of the iman of that person. That doubt will disqualify him from even being considered a Muslim and a mu'min. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declared that there is no doubt in this Quran. Now, the doubt may arise about the meaning of an ayah, if there are different meanings reported. But there will never be a doubt in the authenticity of Quran and that the Quran is the word of Allah. The Quran is the speech of Allah. So, in that respect, there is no room for doubt. There will never be any room for doubt. Quran in its entirety, from beginning to the end, is the pure word of Allah, is the pure speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, with regard to our faith, there are many things that are clearly, authentically, and fundamentally proven from Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, in those things, your belief, your faith has to be strong. There is no room for doubt. There is no room for doubt about the existence of Allah, about the oneness of Allah, about the prophets of Allah, and about the books of Allah, and about the day of judgment, about Qiyamah, about Taqdeer, all the things that are proven from Quran and Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is no room for doubt. So you have to believe in all those things as it is. There is no room for doubt. Similarly, when it comes to practice, in our practical life, we are always confronted with two scenarios. Either we are certain about something or we are doubtful. Let's take, for example, a grocery store. We walk into a grocery store and we see a loaf of bread. And we read the ingredients. So in those ingredients, there are those things that we know what they are and we know they're halal. But among the ingredients, we also find something either we don't understand or we don't know whether it's halal or haram. That is the place of doubt. That is where you have a doubt. So what is the teaching of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for situations like these? He said, "Da' ma yaribuka ila ma la yaribuk." Leave that which is doubtful to that which is not doubtful. Leave that towards which you have doubt to that towards which you have no doubt. So there are two things in front of you. There's one thing you have no doubt about. You believe wholeheartedly that it is halal. And there's another thing about which you have a doubt. You're not 100% sure. You have a doubt whether it could be halal and it could be haram. Another thing, it's worth remembering, when it comes to halal and haram, it's either 100% halal or 100% haram. You can't have a percentage ratio in halal and haram. You can't say that this product, it's 60% halal and 40% haram. Or 70% halal and 30% haram. If there's even 1% haram, the whole thing becomes haram. And the ulama give examples to illustrate this rule. If you have a glass of pure water, and in that glass of pure water, you just put one drop of wine, one drop of beer, or one drop of liquor, that whole glass of that, or that whole jug will become najis. That water will become najis. Now, here's the whole jug or whole glass, which is 99.9% of the water, and you only added one drop of najis, one drop of najasa, and that made the whole thing najis. Similarly, in all the things, even if there is just 1% haram, you have to leave the whole thing alone. You can't consume anything that has even 1% haram. And to better understand this whole rule, let's just say that whatever is haram over there, it's not just haram, it's not just bad for our spirituality, it's not just bad for our ruhaniyah, for our spiritual health, but it is also bad for your physical health. Let's just call it poison. So if you had 1% poison in your food, would you take that food or would you leave it? You're going to buy meat and you don't know whether the meat that you're going to buy is 100% halal or not. If you think it is not 100% halal, then it's 100% haram. You can't say it's 80% halal and 20% haram. If you are saying that it is 80% halal and 20% haram, stay away from it. That is the answer for you. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in a hadith narrated by Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, he said, Al-halalu bayyin wal-haramu bayyin. Halal is clear and haram is clear. وَبَيْنَهُمَا وَبَيْنَ ذَلِكَ شُبُهَاتٍ. In between the halal and haram, there will be things that are not clear, that are doubtful. So when you are confronted with a situation where there is a doubt, whether it's halal or not halal, whether it's halal or haram, so the advice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that دع ما يريبك إلى ما لا يريب. And in this hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, فَمَنْ أَوْقَعَ بِهِمْ فَهُوَ قَمِنٌ أَنْ يَأْثَمْ. Whoever fell into the doubtful situation, whoever went for the doubt, it is very likely that he went for haram and he will go for haram. So the doubts are basically a ladder. They are the bridge between you and haram. When you start walking on that bridge of doubt, they will lead you to haram. They will never lead you to halal. Doubts will never lead you to halal. Doubts will never lead you to the good part. They will always lead you to the worst part. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, فَمَنْ أَوْقَعَ بِهِمْنَ فَهُوَ قَمِنٌ أَنْ يَأْثَمَ. Whoever fell into the doubts, and it is very likely that he will commit sin. He will make mistake and he will err. وَمَنْ اجْتَنَبَهُمْ فَهُوَ أَوْفَرُ لِدِينِهِ كَمُرْتِعٍ إِلَى جَنْبِ حِمًا وَحِمَ اللَّهِ الْحَرَامِ. And whoever stayed away from the shubuhat, stayed away from doubt, then he saved his religion. He protected his religion. He protected his righteousness and his piety. And that is what a Muslim does. In matters of doubt, you should always go for that in which you have no doubt. Because doubts will lead you to sin. Doubts will not lead you to righteousness and piety. Once Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, this hadith is narrated by his beloved daughter Aisha radiyallahu anha. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, once he came home and he asked for milk. So his servant brought some milk and presented it to Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, he used to question most of the time his servant about the food that he was presenting or about the drink that he was presenting, where it came from and whether it was halal or not halal. So that day he forgot. He did not question. So the servant was taken by surprise. So after Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, he drank that milk. The servant asked Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, he said, "Why didn't you ask today whether the milk that I presented to you was halal or haram?" Because you always ask. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu became worried. He said, "What's going on? Why are you asking me?" So he said, كنت تكهنت لإنسان في الجاهلية وما أحسن الكهانة إلا أني خدعته. He said, I used to do fortune telling in the days of Jahiliyyah, but I was not good at it. So one day I did some fortune telling for a person and I cheated him. I clearly told him something that was not supposed to be told. So I did fraud with him. And by way of that fraud, I earned some haram money, which was not lawful. At that time, that person didn't have anything to remunerate me. So today, he had some money and he brought it to me because he owed me from that time. And with that money, I purchased this milk and I gave it to him. So Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu, he became so worried because this haram milk went into his stomach. So what he did right away, he started to induce vomit. He started putting his fingers in his mouth to induce vomit, and he vomited everything that was in his stomach. He did not tolerate anything doubtful, anything that was even considered haram remotely to enter his stomach. He vomited all of that went into his stomach. This was the righteousness of the Sahaba. This was the lesson that they learned from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as Muslims today, unfortunately, we have fallen victims to our own selves. And we barely give any importance to halal and haram. So the lesson that we have learned from ourselves is that if something has a doubt, we say to ourselves, at least it's not haram, it's just doubtful. So just to calm ourselves and just to comfort ourselves, we tell ourselves that at least it's not haram, it's just doubtful. Well, according to the Sharia, according to the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if it is doubtful, it is enough that you stay away from it. Because for us as Muslims, the pleasure of Allah is more important. Pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is more important. If we don't eat meat for one day or 1 week or even 1 month, we will not die from it. There are so many people who are lifetime vegetarians. And now there are people who are lifetime vegans. They live very healthy lives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not impose on us to eat meat. Sometimes we think and we tell ourselves, we have to eat meat. If we don't eat meat, that means we're missing something that is obligatory, that is fard. That is not the case. That is not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in Quran and what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam delivered through his teachings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala simply made it halal for us, the meat. And when He made the meat halal for us, there are conditions to be fulfilled. Not all kinds of meat is halal. Even if the animal is halal, like a cow or a goat or a sheep or chicken, they have to be slaughtered in an Islamic manner, not in any manner. In an Islamic manner, where the conditions of tadqiyah, where the conditions of slaughtering are fulfilled. Because the animals that you're slaughtering, they also have life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them life, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you a life as well. And it is Allah who has made it halal for us to benefit from the meat of those animals. They also live in this world. But it is Allah, through His mercy, He made it halal for us to consume the meat of those animals. But when He made it halal, He also put conditions that you have to fulfill these conditions before you can have the meat of those animals. And that is the tadqiyah. So in Quran and in ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we find those conditions. And the majority of meat that is being produced, especially we live in a non-Muslim country, and the majority of meat that is being produced, the majority of meat and chicken that is being sold in grocery stores and supermarkets is haram. Because the conditions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has required for the meat to become halal, for meat to become lawful for our consumption, those conditions are not being fulfilled in that meat. And simply to say that it is the meat of Ahlul Kitab, it is the meat of Christians or Jews, is not enough. Again, this is where doubt comes. Even if someone said to you that this is the meat of Ahlul Kitab, you will still have a doubt in your heart. Because you don't know who slaughtered it. And if you knew who slaughtered it, you still don't know how he slaughtered it. What did he say when he slaughtered it? Did he say the name of Allah or not? So it becomes really, really important for all of us as Muslims to make sure that what we are eating is halal. And not just meat. Meat is probably a very important part of our diet. But even other things that we eat or other things that we drink, we have to make sure that the things that we eat or drink, the things that we bring into our house, they are halal and 100% halal. Not 70% halal or 50% halal or 90% halal, but 100% halal. In fiqh, there is a rule. The fuqaha say, إِذَا اجْتَمَعَ الْحَلَالُ وَالْحَرَامُ غَلَبَ الْحَرَامُ. When the halal and haram are together, when the halal and haram meet, the whole thing becomes haram. And the example that I gave you, if you put just one drop of liquor in a whole glass of water, pure water, that entire glass of water will become najis. You will not be allowed to drink that water anymore. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq to eat only halal. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq to stay away from all the haram. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq to practice upon the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameen wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.